With a population of over 1.4 billion people, India sees an average of 30,000 reported murders every year. Within these murders lie some tragic and inexplicable cases that leave anyone who learns about them with a feeling of horror and shock. Be prepared. This case is truly chilling. In the vibrant city of Madanapalli, India, there lived a seemingly perfect family. The Naidu family had recently moved into a new house during the COVID-19 pandemic, hoping for a fresh start. Alakia, 27, and Sai Divya, 22, lived with their parents, Padmaja, 50, and Purushottam, 55. They were a tight-knit family, deeply rooted in their religious beliefs. The parents ensured that their daughters were highly educated, just like they were. Purushottam was an established teacher who taught chemistry at a government college, whereas his wife, Padmaja, was a teacher at Mastermind IIT Talent School for 20 years. Padmaja even held a gold medal in mathematics. Sai Divya, the youngest, opted to pursue her bachelor's degree, after which she decided to study music. Enrolling in a prestigious dance and music academy, she chose to work in the Indian music industry. Her parents supported her decision and allowed her to pursue her dream. Her elder sister chose a completely different path. Alakia wanted to work in the government sector as a civil service officer. She would start prepping for the civil service exam to complete her dream after graduation. This was how the life was for the Naidu family up until COVID-19. As previously mentioned, the family was deeply religious, attributing their success to Lord Shiva, a Hindu god. They believed in regular rituals to strengthen their faith and believed in giving back to their god. Every day they gathered as a family to pray, and their neighbors often heard their religious chants echoing from their home. The religious belief was not just limited to the parents. The daughters were also firm believers of God and prioritized their religion above all. Many friends of Alakia would recall her often posting religious posts about Lord Shiva on her social media. This further proved that the family took religion seriously, and it was at the center of their world. In 2020, when COVID struck, both daughters decided to go back to living with their parents as their studies came to a halt. From here on, things were about to take a bizarre and dark turn. On the 23rd of January 2021, the parents asked for paid leave from their workplaces. They reasoned that they planned to hold a significant prayer ritual with their daughters at home. They needed a few days off from work to prepare for the prayer. Friends of Purushottam recall that when they questioned him about his sudden break, he told them that his family felt there was a bad omen upon them and found it necessary to perform a prayer as soon as possible to cleanse themselves. Hence, he needed time off to be with his family. The following day, neighbors heard oddly loud mantras being chanted within the house during the early morning hours. They didn't think much of it because everyone knew about the family's religious tendencies. Around 7 p.m. on the same day, the father called his friend, who also happened to be a work colleague of his wife. At first they had random small talk, but the friend could tell that Purushottam sounded tense and upset. Concerned, the friend kept questioning him if everything was okay at home. He said he feared he had just committed an action that could not be reversed. Confused, the friend probed further. This was when Purushottam told him something truly chilling. He confessed that he had just sacrificed his 2 daughters, and that on the 25th of February, they would be reincarnated in their purest form, without any sins attached to them. Shocked at what he had just heard, the friend cut the call and alerted the police as soon as possible. He repeated what he had just heard to the police and urged them to visit the Naidu house. When the police arrived, the first thing they noticed was a pool of blood trailing to the prayer room. Following the trail, the police found the lifeless body of Sai Divya lying in heaps of blood. A few steps away from her was Alakia, who also lay lifeless. Both the bodies were wrapped up in red saris, and it was evident that their hair had been cut hastily. Searching the household for the parents, the police got to their bedroom where, oddly, the Naidus lay asleep in their bed. The police woke them up and began the investigation. The parents immediately confessed that they had willingly killed both of their daughters as part of their prayer ritual, and that the police were ruining the ritual by interfering. They went on to explain what had happened in detail. According to them, to cleanse themselves of sins, Sai Divya asked her sister to take her life during the prayer. Alakia outright refused to do so. Sai Divya threatened to take her own life. Suicide in their ritual was considered to be one of the biggest sins one could commit. Saving her sister from committing another sin, Alakia took a trident and struck her in the head. According to reports, this first blow effectively killed Sai Divya. Following this, the parents took a dumbbell and struck Alakia in the head twice, killing her as well. They followed this by hitting Sai Divya in the head once more to ensure that she was dead. They then cut their daughter's hair and offered it to Lord Shiva as a blessing. During this confession, Padmaja kept repeating that their daughters remained alive hours after they had been killed, and this was a sign that the divine act was working. She said that she and her husband were going to sacrifice themselves at 9 p.m, but the police's interference was messing with the ritual. She kept repeating that on the 25th of February, the daughters would come back alive, and the police needed to believe them. The Age of Darkness, aka Kali Yuga, would change to the Age of Truth or Sincerity, aka Satyug, and her daughters would be reborn. As soon as they were arrested, Padmaja started screaming and behaving similarly to someone suffering a psychotic breakdown. She started screaming, "Give us one day, our daughters will come back tomorrow. It's time for us to go too." The police put the couple in jail. For the 2 days that followed, the couple kept repeating the same story over and over again. On the 3rd day, the police proved to the couple that their beloved daughters never came back to life on the 25th, and that they were gone forever. This triggered a psychotic breakdown for both of them. They were soon admitted to a hospital where they, along with their daughters, were diagnosed with a rare psychological disorder known as shared psychotic disorder. This disorder causes people within close proximity to be influenced by the delusions of one host. In this case, the host was Padmaja, who made everyone in her family believe they needed to sacrifice themselves to cleanse themselves of sins. Padmaja's delusion didn't stop there. She believed herself to be Lord Shiva and thought she had triggered COVID-19.
I'm Shiva. From my body particle only corona came. Nenu coronavirus ni in the body particle nunche pampinchanu. China nunchi raaledu.
Psychiatrist Dr. Radhika, who examined the couple, told a news portal that the mother, Padmaja, and eldest daughter, Alakia, were extremely delusional and may have impacted the other 2 family members. Padmaja occasionally told her family that she could hear voices in her head and could see her dead father moving around in the house. While Alakia was infatuated with Osho, a highly controversial Indian philosopher and spiritual guru, and during the pandemic, she became increasingly obsessed with spiritual literature, mainly related to birth, death, and resurrection. Close relatives have revealed that Alakia believes she possessed supernatural powers, through which she even brought her dead dog back to life. She would even post things on her Instagram such as, "Shiva is coming, work is done," and "a messy hair bun is an energy magnet, which is why many spiritual gurus do it." Since the entire family suffered from the disorder, they quickly fell to Padmaja's beliefs and delusions. Both daughters believed their mum was the reincarnation of Lord Shiva, and thus went along with everything she said. This led to their tragic deaths. Purushottam and Padmaja remained in psychiatric care until the doctors deemed them fit for trial. Once the hospital gave the green light, they were shifted to a prison in Madanapalli, where they remain imprisoned today. As for their daughters, they were given a funeral, and this case was closed. Some filmmakers become legends for their visionary work. Babak Khorramdin was one of them, a gifted Iranian director known for both his craft and storytelling. But today we remember him not for his films, but for the horrifying way his life ended. Murdered by those closest to him, Babak's death sent shockwaves across Iran and the global film community. What happened behind closed doors was darker than anyone imagined. A story laced with betrayal, control, and calculated cruelty. Today we delve into the tragic death of Babak, exploring the events that led to this unthinkable crime. Babak was born on September 23rd, 1974, in Tehran, Iran. His parents, who were reasonably well off, supported his aspirations to become a director. His father, Akbar, was a war veteran, while his mother, a stay-at-home wife, provided support to her husband after the war. Babak always had a passion for storytelling. He felt that his country had a lot of stories left untold, mainly because of the war that Iran was a victim of. He pursued a master's degree in filmography at Tehran's University in the Faculty of Fine Arts. Seeing a lack of adequate opportunity to progress in Tehran, he moved to London and stayed there for several years. He went on to create many feature and short films. He made most of his notable work while staying in London. This included films like Crevice and Oath to Yashar. His parents joined him on the screening of Oath to Yashar in 2015. It was a film where he honored his parents and their hardships while raising him. Most of Babak's work was about real-life experiences that he had lived. Many of his films have a familial theme, and the main character often misses his parents back home, representing Babak missing his parents while living abroad. Babak would often be a part of many art and film circles in London. After receiving critical acclaim for his films, he decided to return to Iran to become a teacher. Upon returning home, Babak assumed his parents would be happy to see him after such a long time. Unfortunately, this was not the case. One of the reasons for his return was that his elder sister had been missing for years before he came back. The whereabouts of his sister and her husband were unknown, and Babak felt he needed to be with his parents during these rough circumstances. But soon, the situation at home would turn hostile for him. His parents were big on culture and tradition. Much like many Iranian parents, they believed that a person's reputation and respect depended on how they lived their life and who they married. Babak remained unmarried for most of his life, with little to no relationships recorded in his personal life. This bothered his parents. They would often subject him to taunts about his bachelor lifestyle. Considering he was well into his 40s, his parents were worried about him never being able to get married. This rift between his parents and him would only worsen as time passed. Babak would receive daily criticism for freeloading off his parents and not making enough money. He would also deny his parents' requests to get married, fueling their anger. As mentioned, Babak's father Akbar was an Iran-Iraq war veteran. The post-traumatic stress disorder, or PTSD, linked with war veterans was very much present within him as well. This caused him to have a short temper and make irrational decisions. These violent outbursts would mainly be triggered when he would argue with his son. Many times he would ask Babak to move out of their home, but he refused to leave. He would also recall how Babak was a challenging child to raise and would often get suspended from school, ruining their reputation. According to him, the best time in their lives was when Babak left for London and was gone from their lives. On May 16, 2021, Tehran police received an anonymous distress tip from Phase 3 of the small town of Ekbata. The caller reported to have found a mutilated body in a garbage bin. They dispatched a team immediately to the site. On arrival, they would find the head of a man, along with his arms, hands, and ankles stuffed inside a suitcase that was dumped inside a large garbage bin. With the body being completely unrecognizable, the police quickly sent the fingerprints and DNA samples to forensics. 6 hours after the discovery of the body, forensics identified the body to be of a 47-year-old Babak. Upon identification, Tehran police reached Babak's home to talk to his parents. The police thought they would have to give the heartbreaking news to them that their son had been brutally murdered. But the police were in for a shocking surprise. As soon as they reached his home, his parents said that they already knew Babak was dead. They confessed that they had murdered their son on May 15, 2021. Police arrested the parents on the spot and took them into custody. Once in the police station, both parents were asked why they murdered their son. They confessed that they disliked the lifestyle Babak was living. They felt harassed by him living in their house and not leaving. They believed that he was just taking advantage of them financially. Akbar told Babak that he would sell his car so he could pay rent for a place and move out of their house. Babak outrightly refused to do so. He threatened his son and told him to move out, or he would pay someone to kill him. Babak just laughed it off, not taking him seriously. They said that he was ruining their reputation and would bring home female students that he said he was privately tutoring, but his parents suspected that he was sleeping with them. On May 15th, when Akbar came home, he told his wife that Babak had refused to move out of the house and was unwilling to settle down and get married. This is when they decided to get rid of him forever. Babak's mother mixed many sleeping pills into his food. Once he was unconscious, his father tied his legs and stabbed him to death. They realized that taking their son out of the house would be impossible, so they took his body to the bathroom and cut his body into pieces with a knife and a machete. They then packed his body parts and threw them in 3 different trash cans across the town. However, this was not the only chilling confession they made. The parents revealed that they had also similarly murdered their daughter and son-in-law before Babak had come home. While this case was never probed further, their daughter and son-in-law were never seen again, proving that they did indeed murder them as well. According to their confession, their daughter Arazu and her husband Faramaz had been morally corrupted. Faramaz was a drug dealer and abusive towards their daughter, so they all murdered him. Later, they decided to murder Arazu as well, because she was moving on in life and started having relationships with other men, which they feared would ruin their status in society. They scattered their body parts in various locations across Tehran. The court case was held in the Tehran Criminal Court. According to reports, the parents feel zero remorse. Akbar once even raised his hand towards the sky and thanked God for letting him murder his morally corrupted children. He said, "I'm relieved. I no longer have any worries in my life. I don't regret what I did with the cooperation of my wife. I thank God." Akbar and his wife maintained a calm demeanor throughout the court proceedings. In 2022, the case came to an end with Babak's mother being sentenced to 3 years in jail for abetting the murder of her son. She claimed that she only killed her son because her husband had scared her into doing so. Akbar died due to late-stage cancer in the latter half of the investigation. Upon the news of Babak's death, many of his industry friends poured out emotional messages. At just 47 years old, Babak had a promising life ahead of him, tragically cut short. His death sparked widespread outrage, leading to protests against honor killings in Iran. Babak left behind an unfinished legacy of storytelling and film. Neighbors gathered outside the family home to sing mourning songs. His students paid tribute to him both online and outside his home, with one message reading, "Goodbye, the world's kindest teacher," from cinema students.